Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another indie horror spotlight. Today, I have a filmmaker with us. He has made 83 short films, and he has a full length coming out soon. It's in post production. It's called Halloween Candy. I'm sorry. And also, he also has an amazing new podcast that's called Scared Stiff Horror Podcast. I have with us Douglas Plomatello. Yes. Douglas, welcome to the Horror Room.
Thank you, Travis. Thanks for having me on your show. It's an honor to be here.
It's a blast, man. I'm glad you're able to finally come on. So tell us a little bit about Halloween Candy.
Halloween Candy. It's a movie that I want to say is 15 years in the making.
Wow.
So I started 15 years ago, 2008 to be precise. I started making short films, and I didn't go to film school. I went to school, but not for film. So I learned by doing. Scared Stiff was kind of my film school. And as the years progressed, I would kind of see the short films I was making and why doesn't it look good? Why doesn't it sound good? Then I would study. I would like kind of teach myself by getting reviews from the fans and, reviews from some people that weren't being very nice, but it was a learning opportunity. And I humbly took everyone's advice and just tried to improve. And finally, I got to the point, it took a lot longer than I thought, but finally earlier in this year, I was like, you know what? It's time. It's time to do the feature. This is what I've been working on for 83 films over 15 years, is finally making that elusive feature-length film, and we shot it over the summer.
It's amazing. Now, I ask a lot of filmmakers who normally shoot shorts and then they move over to a full length. Is it easier doing shorts than full length, or is it vice versa?
So I guess it's definitely a lot easier. You know, so I will not give up doing the short films. I will say a lot of times I really still enjoy doing short form because there may be a story that I'll be happy to spend about 100 hours working on, but it's something that I kind of don't want to put the time or money into a feature. Not to
Yeah.
knock the short films, but I get such pleasure in doing the short films that I won't stop. But I guess for the feature, everything is just a multiple of doing a short film. It's more actors, more locations, a bigger budget. So it's just kind of taking everything I learned on a short film and just doing it on a much bigger scale with much bigger numbers.
I can imagine. I mean, in my mind, I can imagine making a short film is actually harder because you have to. It takes a skill to be able to put a beginning, middle, and end in such a short period of time compared to a full length. You have time to materialize your story.
Yeah, it's definitely a different pacing. Um, it actually was a challenge moving over to a feature. I think I spent so much time in short form that in the features, one scene may be as long as one of my previous shorts was.
Yeah.
So kind of pacing it out so that it fits a full 90 minutes was actually a bigger challenge than I thought it would be. Like for the shorts, I was a lot more precise and just kind of get to the point, a lot less characters. So in a way, it was challenging to kind of relearn the pacing and create something that's, I don't need the whole story told in 6 minutes. And now I can spread it out and I can have more little details, more little twists and turns that happen during the course of the feature. So I will say it was a challenge after 83 short films to now kind of break out of that mold and take my time telling the story.
So tell us a little bit about the story.
Halloween Candy.
Hmm.
Halloween Candy is about a writer. It's a young woman who her favorite season is Halloween, but not this year. This year, her husband left her, and her young daughter decided to spend Halloween with her ex-husband. So she's home alone, and she has a mind freeze. She can't come up with any stories, and she has a deadline coming up. Her publisher wants some short stories, and she can't come up with any because she's just so depressed. So trick-or-treaters come to the door, and each trick-or-treater inspires her to write another short story. So Halloween Candy is an anthology featuring 6 different tales, all based around Halloween.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Now I see in the background you do have the Curse of Michael Myers
Oh, yes.
poster, which is a underrated Halloween movie. Yeah, it was the first Halloween movie I saw in the theaters, actually.
Me too. Me too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember watching Halloween 5, and then I was younger. I think I was like 11 or so. And I wasn't sure, is that supposed to mean the Halloween franchise is over and Michael will always be out there? And then 6 years went between movies, and I didn't think we would ever see Michael Myers again. And, I was younger, so I didn't realize, okay, these things are not going to end. They're going to happen eventually. So I think I was watching The Crow, and the trailer was for Halloween 6, and it blew my
Yes.
mind.
Yes. I remember my older sister, well, she was the one who took us to all of the rated R movies when we were younger. But she took us, I think, I remember it like it was yesterday because A Dangerous Minds was the big #1 movie that was out, that was running at the same time, opening weekend as Michael Myers. I mean, as Halloween, Curse of Michael Myers. And so I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember like everybody was rushing to see Dangerous Mind, and I was like, nah, I want to see Halloween.
Yeah. If you notice, I have that whole shelf is other than the Kills mask that ended up there, but it's all Halloween 6 related. I have the soundtrack, the VHS, the DVD. I have George Wilbur's autograph. It actually
Oh,
was like a very inspiring movie for me.
now
'Cause I
is that your
remember
favorite?
it is not my favorite of the
Okay.
franchise, but it kind of hit me at the right time. I think I was 16, I guess, when it came out. And it was one of those things that I bought a Fangoria magazine that came out a few months later, and they had an article in that magazine about this producer's cut. And I was
Mhm.
fascinated that there's a whole nother version of this movie. And actually, the fact that I was reading a magazine just about horror movies was really eye-opening to me. Because I remember, family members always told me, yeah, no one does horror for a living. You do horror to break into real movies. But I was like, I want to make horror movies. And so reading that Fangoria magazine, I was like, you know what? There's people like me. Like I could do horror movies, without
Mhm.
this isn't just a stepping stone. So that article was like really important to me. That's why I have my Halloween 6 shrine in my office.
Yes, I see. Now, do you wish that they would have went the whole what was it, the coat of thorn route? Did you want to see how that story would have ended?
uh, I guess so. There were so many problems with that production, unfortunately,
I saw
that
the documentary behind it. It was a lot going on.
yeah, and I think that the issue was it got. I love it. So when I say this stuff, it's out of love, but I think for the average audience, I think they'd be very confused if you went forward. That's why when you had that's kind of they kind of wiped the slate clean for H2O. It just got so convoluted that I don't know. They kind of wrote themselves into a corner, I believe.
Yeah,
you know. But who knows? With this TV show coming out, there's the creative hasn't been announced what they're gonna do. Maybe like each season they follow one of the continuities that had since ended. Maybe we'll get continuation to Thorn in one season. Maybe we'll get a continuation to Resurrection in another. Who knows?
that would be absolutely amazing. Because I mean, there was a lot of different Halloween projects planned before Curse, and this is the one I remember seeing the documentary. This is the one that they fell on, and to me, I mean, it was a. It's not my like you said, it's not my favorite, but it doesn't deserve the amount of shit that people give it.
Yeah, it moves fast. It has a beautiful look. Of most of
Mhm.
Halloween movies, it's probably the one that most looks like Halloween, like the season. It was
Mhm.
filmed in the fall, and to me, that goes a long way. Uh, the soundtrack was good. It was kind of a recomposition of the original. You had Low Reach theme, you had the Shape Stalks, you had all the good songs that came back with a little guitar riff.
Mhm.
So it was a fun movie. Yeah, definitely. I know there's people that hate on it, but I love it. And that's one thing I always say on my podcast is like, you know, if 100 people can hate a movie, but if you like it and you enjoy it, then that's all that matters.
That's right.
No one's gonna take your enjoyment away from a movie, no matter how much they say that it stunk. I'm not saying it stunk, but just
No,
saying,
yeah. But
yeah.
where does George Wilbur rank on your Michael Myers list of actors?
As far as his performance of Michael, ooh, it's a good
Hmm.
question. Let's see. I think the original, of course, is my number one, and I actually like the most recent.
James Jude Courtney is a beast.
He was great. He was
Yes.
awesome. Dick Warlock is great, and I guess right after Dick Warlock. Then again, it's not always them; it's the movie per se. But I thought he was really great in Halloween 4.
He was.
Yeah, um, and 6. Then it's not knocking any of the other actors, but when you do like a ranking, someone's bound to come in
Somebody
last.
has to be in last. I know.
But it's not a knock on them. The one that stood out to me as not being very Michael-like was Chris Durand in H2O.
Yes, and Brad
I
Lorry too, in Resurrection.
I felt that in H2O he didn't move like Michael, and there's a reason
Hmm.
for that. I read an interview back in the day that Chris Durand did not watch the original movies. He wanted to make Michael his own, and so that's why you don't have those same mannerisms like the sit up,
Hmm.
and that's why
And
he
the
looks
head
very
turn.
different in that movie. So
Yeah.
that's a choice, not a choice I would have made. To you're playing a legendary character that not watched the originals, but hey, it's a choice.
I
You
even
might have
saw
to.
that. I also saw that there was so many mishaps with that mask. That's why the mask looked totally different throughout the whole entire movie.
Yeah, I know they shot, and you see the original teaser. The mask was definitely not the one that they used in the finale. Like they shot the whole movie with one of the masks, and then they looked at it like this mask isn't scary. Let's create another one. And so they kept that original mask in there, but a couple scenes you have clearly like it's the one that we see in close-ups in the movie. But if you
Hmm.
look at the wide shots, you can still see that it's the original mask. And then I know when there was a scene that they couldn't reshoot, they just CGI'd over the mask.
Yeah, that's the door scene
Yeah.
with him and Lori.
And actually, in the opening scene, when he kills Marion, it's a Halloween 6 mask.
Is it?
So, yeah.
Which is an amazing mask. Which is an amazing mask.
Yeah.
But I
You
mean,
know,
but the new mask. I mean, the 2018 trilogy. I mean, the 2018 mask is badass. I mean, that might be my favorite mask behind the original. I mean, James Jude Courtney is definitely my number two Michael Myers behind Nick Castle. Definitely.
yeah. Although, if I remove Halloween Ends from my mind, it's
Yes.
that did kind of taint that kind of tainted the trilogy for me with a lot of people, but it
Yes.
still does not affect my enjoyment of 2018 or Kills. You know, I can still enjoy
2018 was so much
those.
fun.
Yeah. Oh, great movie. They
Yes. I
had
mean,
such love for the franchise, all the references.
hmm and I mean,
And
even Kills had his fun. I mean, with the flashbacks and everything.
I really loved Kills. Those flashbacks like you just mentioned. Oh my gosh, I had such a good time watching that movie in the theaters. I know some people are sour on it, but I enjoyed the hell out of that movie. I really
See,
did.
and I did the same way. I saw it in the theaters, and I was like, "Wow, I love this movie." And then I fucked up and went home and watched it on, I think it was on Peacock or Amazon or something. They were showing it for free, and I rewatched it, and I was like, "Wow, this is not as good on TV." Like it was. I thought it was so much better in the theater than watching on TV. I remember even on the TV, the whole hospital scene portion of the movie, which was like 30 minutes. it seems a lot longer at home watching on TV. I remember like fast forwarding through that whole entire part, and I fast forward all the way to where Michael was back in his house with the couple, the gay couple, and that's when I fast forward to because I was like, oh, this whole hospital scene is lasting way too long.
I wonder if it had anything to do with being in a packed theater and getting that communal reaction.
Maybe but that's something I've said a lot. Like I prefer watching certain movies, especially horror movies, in the theater because it's just a different experience. Different
Yeah,
experience.
I have some movies though I need to watch at home. I'm Aaron Deer and Kills. I really was enjoying the movie, and the group next to me just kept talking, and
Oh, that's the worst.
they just kept talking and laughing out loud. And I actually went over to them. I don't care. It was just me and my buddy, and it was like five of them. I'm like, guys, I don't mean to be a dick, but please keep it down. Like I can't hear the movie, and they respected me. It could have made it worse.
Yes.
Yeah, but they were cool. I didn't hear a peep the rest of the movie.
And what is it about horror movies? Because I go to the movies a lot and I see action and comedy and all that good stuff. But I don't know what it is about horror movies. People want to talk through horror movies and in the theaters. I don't never understood that.
I don't know. Maybe if people are scared, they don't want to lose themselves in the movie, so they want to talk and kind of keep themselves from being scared by making, having fun with it and just not
Making
allowing
jokes and
themselves.
stuff. Yeah.
Maybe it's self-defense.
I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. But yeah, that is I've never actually thought of that, but that is true. Most of the movies that people talk and ruin have been horror movies. I
Hmm.
saw in 2005. I saw what is it? Exorcism of Emily Rose in Queens, New York, on a Friday, and that was a scary movie. It would have been, but not for me because there was a whole group of kids that clearly snuck into the theater that were just laughing and screaming the whole movie. Anything that apparently would have been scary, they were laughing and hollering. And several people went to get the manager. Every single time they came, they'd be quiet. They knew the game, but they definitely ruined that one for me. It's unfortunate, but some movies I prefer to watch at home and no one's gonna bug me.
Yeah. I mean, the last time I had to say something to somebody, it was the Child's Play remake, and there was some college kids. They were sitting to the right of me, and I mean, literally right to me, and they were talking and just giggling and taking pictures the whole entire. And the first of all, I was like, how the fuck did y'all even get into this radar fucking movie? Actually, I think they were younger than college, might have been like high school. But then finally, I got fed up. I was like, did y'all literally just pay $15 to come into this movie and sit here and fucking talk the whole entire movie through? And then they shut the fuck up like for the rest of the movie. But I was like, I don't get that. But it's definitely horror movies. But that's why I go see my horror movies during the day now. I do I do like the
Or
matinee special because it's less expensive, but also no one's there. You don't have to worry about because the talking definitely comes from that younger crowd, that teenage and in their 20s. They just want to chit chat through a whole entire horror movie, and I agree. Maybe it's because they're scared and they're trying to make light out of the situation.
makes total sense. Yeah.
So, so the other thing I want to show over to you, you do have a podcast. It's the Scare Stiff podcast. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the Scared Stiff Horror Podcast. I started about a month ago, so we've shot about 10 episodes already. We release weekly, and we are interviewing different people in the horror genre. We've had,
Okay.
makeup artists and writers and directors. It's just sharing our love of horror movies, with other people that like to make movies. And it's been a lot of fun. Like I look forward to my weekly recordings. It's just we end up laughing and just really just sharing that communal experience of just talking about our favorite movies. Well, like this month, I'm doing a lot of Christmas releases. So we're talking
Nice.
about Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Black Christmas, and we're talking about what we like, what we didn't like. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it.
Now, I have a question. Since I do something on similar, is it hard for you to stay on one topic, especially with another horror fan, and you start going off topic about Halloween, the Curse of Michael Myers?
Honestly, it's kind of fun. I kind of like to have that organic conversation if it's an organic flow.
Hmm.
But yeah, it is challenging because we all love it so much, and it is hard to okay, we're gonna focus on this month, but it's inevitable. It's gonna jump around. I try to steer it back to the topic, but if it's a fun conversation, like if we're having fun talking about it, I feel like people have fun listening to it. Yeah.
And that's how I feel. Now, what's the most interesting interview that you've had so far?
Well, it hasn't aired yet, but I just earlier today I interviewed the writer of the novel for Silent Night, Deadly Night that just came out a couple days ago. That was a lot of
Nice.
fun. Yeah, I interviewed a couple weeks ago. His name is Gino Magai. He's a filmmaker in Massachusetts. He made a bunch of movies that like Rise of the Scarecrows. That was a lot of fun. They're all been fun. They're all fun for different reasons. I guess I don't have one that's like stands out yet.
Okay.
They all I let the interviews kind of go the way they need to go. I have a topic I try to hit a couple of points, but go by bullet points, and it's let the topic let the conversation go organically. You know,
And
but
that's
I
the best
always
way to go.
yeah, but I always find like my show now is still learning its way. I'm seeing what's working, seeing what's not. It's going to be a constant evolution. I kind of have a formula that I like right now, but that maybe that'll change in the future. It's
Now,
part of the fun.
now, how are you? I'm a marketing guy, so how are you marketing your show to get new listeners, subscribers, getting your name out there?
Well, I have my YouTube channel, so I'm going to start posting like clips, just maybe 2 3 minute clips to try to direct people to us. Um, I know I got a lot of my listeners from my YouTube announcement and through my Instagram, Facebook. You can kind of tell like where your listeners are coming from. So
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, just social media pretty much. You know.
And that's something that I mean, even with my YouTube channel, social medias, and I even try to get on as many podcasts, other people's podcasts or YouTube channels or whatever, just to do interviews or spots because it's definitely about networking. It's definitely in this genre, you have to bounce off of each other.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much competition out there, and there's so much good content, and so many good shows that unfortunately most people will never hear of just because there's so much out there.
Hmm.
So I think it's great for people to kind of work together. A lot of times people will see others as competition, but no, we all love the industry. We all love talking about it, and I think people working together helps everybody.
I agree. Now, who's your dream guest? If you had to, I mean, is there someone that you're like working on trying to get that is still in the works that you're like, boy, I would really love to interview that individual?
Mm, there's no one. There's no white whale right now. I guess I'm too much in my infancy of the show, so not really. Don't really have anyone that I have my eye on yet. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see what happens. It's I've had some good guests already, so we'll see what happens in the future.
Nice, nice. Like for me, I mean, I got some big ones lined up for next year, but I've always would love to, a John Carpenter would be amazing. I don't even know John Carpenter does interviews, by the way, but even like a Robert England would be incredible.
Yeah, I heard John Carpenter did Mick Garris's podcast back around Halloween time, so he does do them. I don't think often. That's the only time I've ever heard him on a podcast. So
Hmm.
I know he doesn't do them often, but yeah, you never know.
Yeah. So I mean that's my white whale. I mean that's
Yeah,
something that maybe happen.
that'd be cool.
All right. So let's talk about horror movies. I'm gonna ask you three horror questions. You ready?
Yes.
All right. So let's stick with Halloween. And this is a random question. Outside of Laurie Strode, of course, who is your favorite Halloween character that's not Mike Myers?
Let's see. Let me just do a quick refresher in my head of all the characters. Of course, Jamie Lloyd.
Jamie Lloyd?
Yeah, as everyone, we all had childhood crushes on her. Yeah, when we were younger, we were about the same age. uh, but yeah, I guess she was very different than most of the characters because she had the compassion towards Michael in part five. She actually had a physical connection with him as far as our mental connection with him. Uh, Trying to think who else. Well, Dr. Loomis, of course. Yeah.
Dr. Loomis, yes, that's my.
Yeah,
that's
of
my
course,
favorite.
Dr. Loomis.
Yeah. I mean, Donald Pleasant. I mean, so good. I mean, there is no Michael without Dr. Loomis. I mean, it's just a perfect combination.
Yeah, you know what? In a way, we were talking about Halloween 6 earlier, that when Donald Pleasance passed, maybe that was like, there had to have been what put the stop to that original continuity. 'Cause think about it, it was
Maybe.
Loomis going after Michael. And with that specific structure of storytelling, Michael going after new victim and Loomis being there to try to stop it. When Loomis, when Donald Pleasance passed away, those movies may not have been the same. So maybe that was like, okay, it's time to kind of go back a little bit and kind of reboot.
Because any of the ones, and I agree, any of the ones that have Donald Pleasant and Dr. Loomis, there's something about them that they're a lot better. They're better with than without him, and that's what something I was hoping with the 2018 reboot. Even though it was great, I kind of wish some kind of way they would had Dr. Loomis in it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because he ended up not being a Loomis type character, but the Dr. Sartain, and even Lowry
Yes.
comments, "Oh, you must be the new Loomis," which is kind of
Yes.
like a meta joke.
Uh-huh.
He had the accent. He just was the psychologist that was kind of obsessed with Michael.
Mm-hmm.
But then that was the little twisteroo, as we see. He was the one that let Michael out. But yeah, it adds a little depth. Having Loomis it added some depth. It added not just Michael going after somebody, but somebody else going after Michael.
Yes.
So, yeah,
it was a nice little cat and mouse.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite Halloween movie?
Let's see. It's gonna take me a while to think about it. I might think about it by the time the podcast ends.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna jump to the next question. Well, what are you thinking about that?
What I think Halloween ends? Oh my gosh.
Halloween ends?
Yeah, that was it. Oh man, the thing is, like, we watch these movies because we love them, and we don't watch these because we want to hate it. As I'm watching it, I actually really liked. I might be the minority. I really liked the Corey story. I thought it was a great descent into badness. And I think when Michael came in about the 50-minute mark is when it went downhill, in my opinion.
Because
it's unfortunate.
Yeah, because I was that's the only one that I didn't watch in the theaters, Halloween Ends, because I think it came out like midnight on HBO Max, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna watch this right now. I couldn't sleep that night, and I was like, fuck it, I want to watch this movie now. And I was like, where is this going? I was like so confused, like where this was going, and I was like, where's Michael Myers at? Like, what's going on? And then, like, once you see Michael Myers and he's at this weakened state, I'm like, okay, oh, he's gonna be the new Michael Myers. Some kind of way, something's gonna shoot over to him, and he's gonna be the new Michael Myers. But it really didn't happen that way, and it was just weird. And you go from Halloween, but other things too. You go from Halloween 2018 to Halloween Kills, which were bloodbaths. This one had hardly no gore in it at all.
I just thought it was a awful end of the trilogy. Like, to me, 18 went into kills seamlessly, and they set some great stuff up. Like Frank's character, how he was the one that stopped Michael from being killed back in 78. So he thought it was up to him to kill Michael. So come to
Which I thought was going to
Ends,
happen.
what does he do? He goes shopping in the grocery store, and that's
Yes.
practically it for his character, talking about cherry blossoms. And Laurie's whole thing at the end of the movie, and she's saying, you can't just beat down evil. It just transcends it, makes it stronger. Well, it clearly didn't happen that way, because Michael couldn't even move when it came to Ends. So like all this great stuff that was set up just didn't pay off well, in my opinion. It would make more sense if Corey. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but it would make more sense if Corey was introduced somehow. If he was at least a smaller character in the 2018 or Kills. I just felt it was so random. You have this great trilogy, like part 1 and 2 were these great setups, and then some of the main characters that we care about are barely even a important character in Ends, and now we have a new guy who doesn't even make it to the end of the movie. We spend the whole movie watching this guy descent into madness, and it's not even there for the finale.
And he just fucking shoots and kills himself. Like, you're like, what the fuck? Like, but I agree. Like, okay, the Halloween Ends was just the end of the trilogy. You're supposed to be wrapping up the first 2 stories. Like, this is not when you go ahead and introduce a whole new fucking character that no one's seen in the first 2 movies and make the movie about him. Like, it just made no fucking sense.
Yeah. Oh man. And I really wanted to like the movie. Yeah, it looked really good. I thought like the visuals were good, of course. Like the first half I was really into, and it's just the second half just fell apart.
But him and Michael were in there with the doctor and the assistant that he was banging, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? It felt like someone didn't watch the first 2 movies. Whoever was making this movie didn't watch the first 2 movies and just made something,
And the thing is, you mentioned the doctor and the nurse. So in a horror movie, you're supposed to fear for the victims, but look at the majority of the kills in this movies are people we're not supposed to even like. Like the first kill was that officer that was like flirting and kind of being, stalking Allison. So we're not supposed to fear for him when he dies. He's like supposed to be a bad guy in a way, And then the doctor and the nurse, when they get it, we're not supposed to like them either because they're the reason Allison didn't get the promotion.
Even like the band kids,
right?
They were assholes.
The whole thing was a mess, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I did create, as a writer, I created my own ending.
Did you? Do you want to tell? Yes, I would.
All right. So I'm only gonna rewrite the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Okay.
This is what I thought would be a great ending, and it would tie all those little loose ends from 18 and Kills over. End of the movie. Michael does not break Corey's neck. He stabs him in the eye with that needle. So remember that. Then we have the fight with Laurie and Michael. They cut his throat, tie him to the table, think he's dead. They bring him to the garbage disposal, like in the dump that we saw. And as they're lowering him, he grabs Laurie. And he starts pulling her down. And then Frank grabs Laurie from the other side. And now this concludes his character saying, I could have killed Michael back in the day. It's my fault he's alive. And then Laurie is on one hand is being pulled down by Michael and holding Laurie. And remember in Halloween Kills, Laurie says the only way for him to die is if I die. So realizing that she is keeping Michael alive by keeping herself alive, she pushes off of Frank, and her and Michael go down together. chopped up. And then we cut to the final. Her granddaughter Allison is reading Laurie's book. In the visual, we cut to a little checkerboard in the sanitarium. And we get to the final line of the movie is Laurie's book saying, "Evil never dies, this changes shape." And then we pan up and there's Corey with the eye missing. Doesn't that make more sense?
It makes a lot more fucking sense. Because I agree with you. I thought they were building Corey up to be the next Michael Myers in a future movie or something like. That actually makes, and I thought also too that Laurie was going to die in some way in this movie.
Yeah. It was just so unsatisfying, that whole movie, you know? And I watched it again this year. I think I've watched it 3 times now. I keep people saying, "Oh, watch it again. Keep watching it. You start to like it." Like, how many times do I have to watch this movie before I start to like it? I watched it 3 times already.
It's not fun. It's. I mean, I've been talking about hate about it all year on my videos. It's just one of that and the Candyman remake have like pissed me off.
Yeah.
Because I mean, those are my 2 favorite, characters. 2 of my favorite characters, and like, Michael should have had a better send off. He really should have.
Yeah, and this is the thing is we aren't saying this because we're haters or we don't want to like it. We care for we love these characters, we love these movies, and we want them to be done right. And yeah, it's just a shame, you know.
Now, did anybody ever ask what's his name, David Gordon Green, why he decided to do that?
I'm sure he has. I haven't really read many interviews of him since then, but I know I did see kind of like highlights. Like he did admit that, like, okay, I can see why people wouldn't like this movie. So he understands, I guess. I don't know, but it's a good question. I kind of tuned out after watching that. I was a little, I felt let down. I really liked Kills, and I felt like I literally had never finished a movie and been more disappointed than I was in that movie.
I was so pissed off. But I was just like, as a filmmaker, so I'm not a filmmaker. I never made a film. Like, how the fuck did he come up with that? Oh, this is a good idea. You know what I mean? Like, he had a lot of people around him saying that this was a good idea.
I don't know. Yeah, it happens sometimes. It really depends on the director or the filmmaker. Like, there's been times a lot of people don't want to challenge the director. I don't know if this is the case for that movie. I just know, like, in sets I've been on, sometimes people they follow director's vision. Sometimes it's out of respect, and they're not going to challenge. Be like, hey, I don't think that would be a good idea. It's the director's movie, so the director usually gets people that are going to help him get his vision across. So there could have been people that were like, oh, I don't know about that, but that's their job is to support the director. So that could, I don't know, wasn't there, but that could be what happened in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a huge miss.
Yeah.
All right, Douglas. So where can everyone find you, my friend?
Yeah, so my Instagram is scared_stiff_films. My Twitter, which I'm not as active on anymore, is Scared Stiff TV. YouTube channel. Wait a minute. No, sorry. I don't use it as much. I gave you the wrong handle. Okay. Twitter is actually Scared Stiff Show. The YouTube channel is Scared Stiff TV. Facebook is Scared Stiff TV. So I'm all over the place. A little more active on Instagram than the others.
And just look down in the description for the link to his YouTube channel. Feel free to check that out.
Yeah, great. Wow. Yeah, there's a little for everybody there. We've had a couple miniseries we did. Most of them have been original stories, although we did a Jason Friday the 13th miniseries about 10 years ago.
Oh, nice.
It was called Jason Xmas. And it was kind of a cross between Friday the 13th and the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. When Jason
Yeah.
accidentally kills Santa and puts on the jacket, and now Jason has magic powers. Of
So now I gotta
he-
watch that now.
Yeah, I there's a smash cut that's actually doing pretty good on YouTube when it's all the movies cut together in one film. So it's called The
Mhm.
Ultimate Cut. So check that out. I actually filmed the beginning of that in Blairstown, New Jersey, where they filmed the original movie.
hmm
So I wanted to include some of the classic locations this time in a Christmas setting.
Did you go to the diner?
I did go to the diner. I didn't film there though, but I did. Of
Okay.
course, I had to stop by the diner and I ordered a sandwich.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the experience because I did the tour of Camp Crystal Lake. What was it, like 2 or 3 years ago? It was pretty nice. But I hear that there's a museum there in Blairstown.
Oh,
So
wow.
Friday the 13th Jason Museum, and I'm like, I gotta go and check that out. So,
I love when towns like really embrace their history, especially when it's like a horror movie that a lot of people
Yeah.
try to distance themselves. I love when they embrace it. It's so good.
I live in Maryland, and Burkittsville, Maryland, which is like half an hour
Oh,
down the road. They embrace Blair Witch
oh,
like
they did, okay.
completely. Yeah, they embrace the hell out of the Blair Witch Project.
Wow, that summer must have been wild then, because that was the craze. That's what the second movie was based on, was the craze of what was happening in
Yes.
the actual Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But
That's
all right,
cool.
well, listen, everyone, please check out my man Doug. Go on his YouTube. Look out for Halloween Candy coming out next year, Halloween time. I'm assuming.
Yep.
release?
Yeah, probably September release, I'm guessing.
Check
So,
that out. And also shoot over to Scare Stiff Horror Podcast over on Apple Podcasts, wherever you can find your favorite podcasts. Douglas, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. I'd love to have you back on in the future, man. I can talk to you about Halloween movies all day.
Yeah, it's just fun. I love to come back. Whenever you want to chat, you know, you got my info.
Most definitely. If you'd like me to come on, I don't mind coming on as well. Because
Oh,
I can definitely
absolutely,
talk.
Yeah, no, we will talk the listeners' ears off, I'm sure.
Yes. Well, everyone, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.